Alright, CNT120, we are going to look at our network design lab. So during the second half of this semester, we're going to work on a small design for a small company. I should say a network design for a small company. And we're going to do, there's three pieces of this we'll need to do. We're going to do one piece along with Chapter 4, we'll do one piece along with Chapter 5, and we'll do the last piece along with Chapter 6 to try to spread it out a little bit. In this podcast, I'm going to give you a quick overview of what it is we're going to do, what it's going to look like, and kind of how we're going to tackle it. So this is just kind of an overview of everything we're going to, everything about the network design lab. All right, I've opened up our network design lab. The front page is a little bit of background about network design. Most networks are designed with some kind of organized structure in it, or layering, if you will. Here gives you an idea of Cisco uses a core distribution access layer model, where the access layer is the devices like switches that users are connecting into. All of those are serving a similar function. If a network's large enough, we bring all those layer 2 switches together into a layer 3 switch. That'd be the distribution layer. Some companies are large enough to do that, some are not. And then we actually have the core layer. These are the devices that are getting us connection either to ISP or WAN connections to maybe another site, that kind of thing. So if I keep my network organized in some kind of layered model, we know that each layer of this design is doing its function, or can do its function. So we're going to keep this in mind as we're designing our network. I have links to additional reading if you want to read more. And the focus of our lab really is to try to do some basic network design using some of the things we're learning this semester. Now, some of this is also going to fall into the category of, when you're learning something new, somebody will say, well, follow along with what I'm doing. Do what I do, and that way you'll learn how to do it. Well, some of this is going to be, you're going to follow along with me doing it, showing you this is roughly how you do it. And that'll give you an idea how some of this goes as well. Next page is a little bit more about objectives, and then into the design scenario. I'm not going to read all this now, but I'm just going to point out what's here. The design scenario is for a small company, a branch of a larger company, that they want us to put a network in. The next 2 or 3 pages here are the details of what they want. So this is almost like notes we took as we were meeting with the customer on certain aspects of the network. Where we're going to put equipment, what do we have for budget. We don't actually have a budget number yet, so we want to make sure we meet all of the customer's goals and keep it within reason. Meet all the goals they have, keep it within reason, and they'll hopefully use that number to put in the budget to do this in maybe another year, if you will. Timeline is relatively recent. We're not going to talk 3 years down the road. We're going to talk maybe like a year down the road that we're putting this in. So stuff we pick out should be able to be used. Servers, most of the servers are going to be housed at like corporate center or corporate office, if you will. So we're not going to really have to worry about servers too much, especially if we pick out our equipment carefully. The next couple areas, exec office, office 1, I'm going to scroll a little bit further, office 2, lobby, IT admin, support. These are the different areas of the building, and in each area we have delineated what it is they need. So if I take a look here, exec office, this talks about how many connections they need in that office, what they have for security concerns, voice over IP connection, and any other details. And this same kind of layout is under each section of the building. That way we can figure out how many switch ports of things we need, whether we need to worry about putting things in VLANs for security purposes, and how we're going to handle any IP phone connections for the users here. And then any other relevant details that might be necessary for that area. So exec office, office 1, office 2, lobby, IT admin, and support office. You'll see what that means in just a minute when I show you a floor plan of the building, so hang in there just a minute. What we need for wireless. We do need a little bit of wireless in this building, not a lot, but a little bit for visitor devices, if you will, and maybe any other portable devices that we have in our building. So this talks a little bit about what they need for wireless. Okay, so that's kind of the company and what their needs are. If I scroll, I'm going to skip this page or two here for just a second, but go down a little bit further, bear with me. Here is the floor plan of the building. Now you'll see exec office, IT admin, office 1, office 2, lobby, support office. Okay, those are the different areas of the building that we are trying to connect up for them. Over in the corner is our networking closet where we can put our networking gear. So hopefully now as you look at, I'll scroll back up, bear with me. As you look at these, this makes a little more sense now. These are the requirements for those parts of the building. All right, I'm going to keep going. This next page is key. This is where we're actually going to start. All that up at top was basically background information that we need. Now is where we're going to start. Part 1 is the first part of the plan we're going to do. We're going to make a network map. I'll come back to that in a minute. The next part we're going to do is make a cost sheet, a spreadsheet, if you will, of equipment, network gear that we're going to need for this facility. Again, we'll come back to that in a minute. The last and third, I should say the third and final part is we're going to do just a little bit of writing on describing what we're doing for the customer and maybe why we're doing it, along the lines of talking about what's good about our plan, advantages, what's maybe not so good about our plan, disadvantages, and lastly what we might try to do to improve the plan if they want to allocate more money or if they want to work on this the following year. You know, we put a network in for them and maybe come back in a year and do some improvements for them. So those are the 3 pieces we're doing: the map, the spreadsheet, and then descriptions about their plan. And then part 4 here is basically submitting it to D2L. Okay, so those are the 3 pieces we're doing. I'm going to keep going for a minute. The next page is the rubric on how this is going to get graded for what we're looking for on the cost sheet, what we're looking for on the map, and then what we're looking for in the descriptions. Okay, so that'll help you. That'll help guide what should be in each of these areas for you. And you can almost check that off as you go. That's how it's going to be graded for you. I'm going to keep going. Again, there's the map of the building, or the floor plan of the building, I should say, that you can use as reference to kind of visually, visually help you plan out what you're going to do. The next page is a little rough map they have given us of what they're going to try to do for this network. So we're going to use that and say, okay, great. We're going to take that and we're going to improve upon that. We're going to make a better map with the actual equipment we're going to pick out and how we're going to hook things up. So this can almost be a starting point that we're going to almost redo and make better with our own ideas and thoughts. So this was their quick sketch of what they're planning on doing. We're going to add to that and make it better. So that's hey, that's a starting point. We can use that. The last couple of pages are actually directions on how to pick out the switch for your plan and get a price for it, how to pick out the router and get a price for it, and so forth. This is literally directions on picking out each piece of equipment in the plan. Now, just a heads up, websites and things do change. So when this was done, May of 2020 is when I did all these directions. All these were spot on. As websites change, you might need to, kind of put your thinking cap on and your IT search skills to find what you're looking for. But this will get you at least in the right ballpark for each piece of equipment. All right, so before I go any further, that is the whole document for your network design lab. So there's an overview of what we're going to do. Again, the first couple pages are background that you'll need. You'll need this information to refer to for quantities of things. Okay, that's why it's here. But the first piece we're going to start on, and we're going to start on this when we're working on Chapter 4, is the network diagram. Well, let me show you an example of what we're going to make just so you understand where we're going. We're going to make a network map that looks something like this. So we're going to take their sketch and we're going to improve upon it. We're actually going to show the firewall. We'll show the router, including model number. We'll show the switch with model number, the access point with model number, IP phones with model number, and everything to show all aspects of the building and all the equipment we're going to need for this facility. This is what we're going to create along with part 1. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to have a separate podcast on this to show you exactly how to make this network map using a program called draw.io or diagrams.net that can save right to your Google Drive. Okay, so that's the first piece we're going to do. Once we have that, we can then take all of these pieces of equipment, look them up and get the exact model number, and create a spreadsheet or a cost sheet for this plan. Then we're going to make this. We'll make a spreadsheet for the switch, the router, the access point, the IP phone, the firewall, total all those pieces of equipment up to get them a grand total for the equipment for this proposal. That'll be the second part we're going to do here, the cost sheet. We're going to do this along with Chapter 5. Again, I'll have a separate podcast on this describing how you make all of this. The last part of the plan, the description and justification, if you will, this is just a little bit of writing we're going to do along with Chapter 6. This, I'm going to just do like a Google Doc, and I copied in here what it is we need to do. We're going to need to write a couple sentences on the advantages of our plan, and I give you some suggestions in here. A couple sentences paragraph for our disadvantages, and I give you some suggestions in here, and same thing with our suggestions. So to start this, I'll start with like a little bullet list to get my brain organized, and then I will turn that bullet list into a couple sentences or a paragraph to explain to our customer what's good about our plan, what's not so good, and how we might improve it. And if I actually start looking at our network map right here, this can start giving you some ideas. It is a simple design. It is expandable. We can add to it. It solves all their needs, and we're using commercial grade equipment. So this stuff should last. It should do what we need to do. It's not homeowner grade, router that we would be using that might not be able to handle the load or the features we need. So these would be all good things about our plan. Turn that into a couple sentences fully thought out, and you have that paragraph done. The next part of our description here is the disadvantages. Well, this is not exactly a cheap plan if you look at it. That's like $13,000. That's not exactly cheap for a small business. So that would definitely be one of our disadvantages. Here we are. I also look at, I don't have any redundancy, and there's lots of single points of failure. So if I look at my map, yeah, there's single points of failure. If this goes down, we're done. If this goes down, we're done. If this goes down, we're done. There's a lot of single points of failure, and there's no redundancy built in. That is a problem. So take those ideas, make a couple sentences to a paragraph out of that, and you have that done. Last but not least, then, I probably want to take these problems I have here under disadvantages and turn them into suggestions for improvements. So add some redundancy for the central networking devices. Maybe that's even just having a redundant router configured and ready to go that they can swap out. Add in some things like UPSs for these devices to give them battery backup. Look at having a redundant ISP connection for this. Again, take those couple ideas, work them into a couple sentences to a paragraph, and you have that taken care of for your customer. That is the last part of your design lab, actually describing to the customer what's good, bad, and what we might improve for them. Those are the three pieces. Your map we'll do along with Chapter 4, the spreadsheet we'll do along with Chapter 5, and your descriptions we'll do along with Chapter 6. Those three pieces we'll pull together and submit during the last week of our semester, right before finals, for your design lab. So again, I'm going to come back with additional podcasts on each one of those pieces so you understand how to do them. But there is a quick overview of what you're doing for your network design lab.